Welcome to the Whitetail Obsession Podcast with Dave Richmond and co-host Chris Worthing, where we talk and teach everything deer and turkey hunting related. Follow along as we help teach you tips and techniques about hunting, food plots, and habitat management strategies that everyone can use.
Podcast 115, and now we got a new joke for Chris. I got to explain this real quick. I got to take 1 minute again. Okay, so now we should call Chris the Blue Smurf because he's sucking down colloidal silver, and he's going to turn into that blue guy that was all over the news like 5 years ago, where his pigment turned completely blue from taking in too much colloidal silver. I find that funny.
That's silly.
Yeah.
I will.
So
I will just fight it with more hot chocolate.
okay, so now there's hot chocolate, colloidal silver. You're going to turn into a blue Smurf. A funny thing, I consulted with a guy on Saturday. His name is Tim. Tim listens to this podcast every Monday on his way to work, and he said the first 2 minutes of our podcast, I believe that's what he said, is the best part of every podcast. And it's where me and you are ragging on each other for the first 2 minutes, and it gets him going in the morning.
Gets them going.
And we're in the middle of walking the woods, and I'm explaining things. He's like, "Dude, I need to know the story about Swiss Miss. I need to hear the story. Where did this start?" And I told him about it, and we were laughing. It was funny.
There is no story.
There is a story, and I told him the story.
There is no story.
Yeah, there is a story.
There's no story.
There is. I told him that Chris is 53 years old. He rocks in a rocking chair drinking Swiss Miss like he's 7.
That's where this is stupid, because it is a story. It's a story.
Oh God, stupid.
It's stupid.
It's funny, and people are catching on.
I prefer hot chocolate over coffee. I don't like coffee.
Yeah, but the other guy said you got to drink mushroom coffee.
Yeah, what was that for?
I've seen mushroom coffee before. Apparently, it doesn't taste like coffee, but
What did he say that was for? I can't remember.
it's got like
Just kills what ails me, huh?
Well, it's supposed to be good for you. Mushrooms are good for you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he told me drink mushroom coffee, and I was like, I don't like coffee. He says you can't taste the mushroom.
Yeah.
Or no, he said it doesn't taste like coffee. I said, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we was at Holly's place, and he said that, what was that,
chaga? It's good for good for diabetes.
Chaga tea.
Yeah, we were consulting on a guy's property, and there was chaga growing right on the tree there.
That didn't look beneficial either.
And it looked gross, but apparently people use it for diabetes.
I'll stick to Swiss Miss.
Yeah, so Tim's laughing right now as it's Monday morning and he's rolling to work. Tim's laughing, so that's for Tim. Today's podcast, again, before we lose everybody, we're going to talk about I had like 3 or 4 questions this week so far, and we've never done a podcast specifically talking about this, but it's about all these throw and grow mixes and why they're bad, cheaply made, and I guess there could be a use in a way, but
it's a shortcut.
It is. And let's talk about that. And real quick too, I had a guy comment on our last video. I don't know if you saw it or not, but he's upset with us.
Oh
yeah. He says that when we make podcasts, we're making fun of people for doing things wrong. And I simply told him that we're not making fun of people.
I didn't see this.
Yes, we're not making fun of people. We're giving you the best information that we have that from experience and things. Yes, we make jokes about social media, Facebook, people going to groups, getting bad information, blah, 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 blah. And we're saying this in a jokingly manner.
Well, we're doing this for education purposes.
Yeah, we're not making fun of people.
Not that we're experts, but from, like you said, from experience, we've succeeded in food plotting and have some failures too, and
Hmm.
that's how people learn. I mean, like I said before, if I do something, because I like to do experimental things, if I do something and it fails, it saves you from not failing. You
Right.
know, I can say, hey, I did this, it didn't work, so don't do this. I can do that from experience.
Hmm.
So it saves people money, actually.
Yeah.
So it's not that we're making fun of someone. We're just telling you how we succeeded in certain areas.
Yeah. And yes, we make jokes about Facebook forums and social, and because people
Well, some
do.
of it is very ridiculous.
It is. But I told him, I can't remember the guy's name. I told him though that it's because people in today's world don't think for themselves anymore.
Right.
They're not using common sense. They jump right to a Facebook group, some forum. They're getting information from somebody that's giving them bad information, but the person asking doesn't know it's bad information.
Right.
So we're giving you the information because we've done it, failed, had experiences, and so forth. So if we made you upset, we apologize, but it's not. Most of the time, we're joking around when we say stuff like that. We're not making fun of people. Um, but that's all I can say about that.
All right.
All right. So first of all, have you ever planted a throw and grow mix?
I did early on when I first started plotting because I
Hmm.
didn't know any better and I didn't know which way to turn, and it sounded like the easiest attempt at a plot,
Because
which
it's a marketing
which,
catch.
which it is an easy attempt at a plot because it's a shortcut.
Yeah.
Like I
Where'd you
said
buy it at?
earlier, where did I buy it at?
Hmm.
Oh,
Was it like a
it was probably a Dunham's or a Walmart purchase.
okay? So something you just saw in there, throw and
It was
grow.
I think it was labeled throw and grow.
Yeah.
And then I had one before that was called a no plow.
Yeah. Yeah. I've planted that
So,
too. Yeah. So most of the time, these throw and grow mixes, they market it as easy to grow, and a lot of time, and it catches people's eyes because again, we're not making fun of people, but people want to take shortcuts and they see the term easy to grow. They're thinking in their mind, oh wow, this is a shortcut, another shortcut that I can use to
mhm,
have a successful plot. And most times it doesn't work out that way. But what it does do is what what I've seen it to where like 50, 60, even 70%
a
of
large
seed
portion,
in that bag
a
is
large,
ryegrass.
a large portion is
Yeah.
ryegrass.
It takes that, seed bag over because ryegrass is dirt cheap. It's basically a filler seed.
Hmm.
But what it does do is, and people think they have success with it, and deer will eat it, but really not that preferred. It's just a cheap mix. But
Yeah.
what it does do is, um, if you throw that out there, it's majority ryegrass, right? Ryegrass will grow anywhere, and when it grows, it's bright green.
Yeah.
So your area that you planted in is going to be bright green, and you
Oh, it's
think that you did something.
yeah. You're gonna think that you grew a plot.
Yep. But my final point on that is if you have like a food plot or even your throw and grow, which turns into a ryegrass plot that's bright green and you're hunting over it, it gives you those extra couple minutes of light to see and shoot. So it
Mm,
will give you that green carpet and kind of give you those extra few minutes of daylight because I've noticed that on food plots too, like regular food plots, Braskas,
right.
whatever it is, you have that green base, it's going to give you those extra few minutes. Um,
Well,
to
that's a good point.
That's really the
That's the
only
only
good thing.
only advantage I could see to, but that
Yeah,
that has to be on a field edge, probably not
yeah,
necessarily in the woods because the woods darken up pretty quick. But
yeah. If you got like a pure open spot directly in the middle of the woods, then yeah, it might work.
yeah,
But
it might.
most of the time, these guys that are planting this throw and grow type mix, it's in a partially shaded area, so it's
Yeah.
not really going to help you in that manner. But
No, and I mean, like you said, it'll grow anywhere. And it's kind of
yeah,
it could be it could be deemed as a shade tolerant grass.
Hmm.
And the other contents is usually a little bit of clover and a little bit of rape or something. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, that's
two
true.
other things, two other things that will grow anywhere basically.
Hmm.
But there's such a small amount in the bag.
Right, you can't even tell it's there.
Yeah, it's so sparse. And what happens is the ryegrass takes over anyhow,
Yeah.
um, and crowds everything else out.
Hmm.
It's aggressive. It doesn't grow well with others, like doesn't play well with others. Um,
It's aggressive like you, and you don't play well with others.
yeah, and I love the word allelopathic. Dave hates it. it
Oh god.
it releases chemicals which hinders the good plants from growing properly. Um,
I'm not gonna say who or what, but do you remember that phone call we made about allelopathic in the truck that one day? We called somebody. You don't
mm,
remember that?
I remember, but I don't remember who we called.
Okay, I'll tell you when the podcast is over. But
Okay,
it's a funny story. I can't believe you don't remember that.
I,
But
I, I think I have
yeah,
an idea, but
yeah.
and what was said.
I can't say it. Keep going. Keep going.
But there's something to it.
Yeah, yeah,
It's there. But yeah, it's just a cheap alternative, and it makes people feel good. They think they've grown
yeah,
something,
yeah. They see
and
green.
yeah. So it is a quick, easy plot, and it germinates quick. Um, but it's just undesirable,
Hmm.
you know. And if they eat it at all, it's just not a desired plant.
Yeah.
You'd have better. You'd be better off having them in your yard eating your grass.
I mean,
You know.
it's a grass seed.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
real grass seed, literal. It's not deer food. It's not.
Right. Yeah.
It shouldn't even be a buck on a bag seed. You know.
But that's
And
a
actually,
way.
I didn't know that companies are still using it.
Hmm.
I seen a couple companies are still using it in their mixes, and I'm like, wow. With all the backlash over the last couple years of everybody saying we don't use rye seed or yeah, ryegrass seed. We don't use ryegrass seed. You would think that the other people would be like, hmm, if they're not selling it, maybe we shouldn't either.
Hmm.
Because I tell people if they see ryegrass seed, run, get out of there. You don't
Yeah.
want that. You don't want that mix.
Yeah. I've seen it in quite a few mixes, still to this day.
And I don't
But
get it.
yeah, I mean, it, it it's a it's a way for the company to sell it at a premium price, making the most profit off of it.
It's silly though,
Um,
because you could substitute like oats or something,
yeah, you
uh,
could, but
and it would
ryegrass is
grow.
cheap, so they're
Yeah.
making the most profit out of it and still selling it to you at a high price, and people still buy it because of the marketing
Well,
words "throw
it's
and
for
grow."
it's newbies, people that didn't know any better.
Yeah, and they're
Y-
getting
You
they're
know,
getting
they're
scammed.
getting ripped off. They
But
get
it's
ripped.
also, yes, they're getting ripped off, but again, it's that mindset of
I got something green.
quick and easy.
Yep, it's a
Let's skip
shortcut.
let's skip the process, let's skip the steps, let's skip
Yep,
all the prep and everything. And I'm going to rely on this
yep.
bag of seed to get me
They,
where I want to be.
they don't prep nothing. They don't soil test nothing.
Yep.
They might rake the ground.
Yeah.
They might rake
It's
some
just.
debris and throw it down.
Hmm.
The stuff will grow on concrete, though.
Yeah.
So the prep doesn't really matter much.
Hmm. It's all about prep. The more you prep, the better results you're going to get.
Yeah.
Soil samples, lime and fertility, and um, controlling the weeds and having adequate sunlight and moisture, and you know work doing the proper steps to improve the soil, because your soil, I made a video about this, your soil is your bank account. You build that soil up over time, you're building up your bank account to give your future crop.
You're
You're gonna
broke.
Yeah, you're gonna be broke.
You're busted.
If there's nothing there in the bank account, it can't give nothing to the plants that you're trying to grow, which in turn is not going to give it to the wildlife. So you got to build up that bank account
You
in
got
the
weed
soil.
seed in your bank account.
Yep, like the weed seed you referred me to when to the farmer, and I bought buckwheat in my entire field after I worked extensively to get rid of. I didn't have a weed in that field. Chris is like, "Oh, hey, let's we got this guy. I'm gonna buy some buckwheat off this guy." We drive a million miles to get to this guy. Buys the buckwheat seed. I plant it. My entire field is nothing but weed seed.
Operator error. I didn't have any
Uh,
weeds.
I was sideways thinking
I,
about that.
I had no weeds. It was all
I
you.
don't get it. He scammed me then. The funny thing is the guy offered to tell me to come back go turkey hunting. And I went
Yeah.
back the next day and went turkey hunting the place, and there was like 9 other people there. Oh, God,
He
waste of time.
scammed you twice.
He did. I got scammed twice. Um, so
What was the
what
other topic
are
you want to roll into?
well, we're not done with this. What are some cheap alternatives to throw and go?
Well, like I said, you could substitute something else in it.
No, if nobody want like if somebody wants something cheap, they don't want to buy a bag of throw and go. What
Oh,
is something else they can buy cheap?
go with. It depends on where you're putting it, but just go
Hmm.
with clovers.
Yeah.
Clovers and chicories and things like that. I mean, you can't go wrong with it.
Hmm.
They grow fairly simple. Uh, if it's fall, you might want to use some grains. You could use your winter wheat, winter rye. Like I said earlier, oats. If it's far enough before the frost hits.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, there's 5 things right there you could use.
Yeah. Cheap.
That's
You know,
easy. It's cheap and
winter
easy to use that stuff. Stuff's
winter
20 bucks a bag, 50
yeah,
pounds.
winter wheat, winter rye, all that stuff
Do you
is cheap.
find do you find that people because of these celebrity podcasters talking about rye all the time, do you find that people are always wanting to put down rye?
Hmm.
Like the first thing they talk about is, "Oh, we got to save a plot with rye." You know, first of all, if you do everything correctly, you don't have to save a plot other than Mother Nature does something weird like the droughts and things. But
Right. Yep.
if you're doing the proper steps and prep, you shouldn't have to save your plot. Um, but yeah, you always hear, "Well, if it don't work out, I'm going to throw down rye." And
Hmm.
I'm like, "Well, why would you use rye?" And they just look at me kind of funny, like, I don't know. That's just something I've heard was good." Well,
So,
when we used winter wheat against winter rye in
yep.
our experiment, they walked through the winter rye to get to the winter wheat,
Hmm.
And I tell people, pick a handful of each and chew on a little bit and see which one's more bitter.
Hmm.
I said, the deer can tell the difference too. That's why they go to the winter wheat.
Yeah. Well, there years ago, there was a certain person on YouTube that got this started with the rye.
Yes.
And we'll just say it, it was Sturgis. He
Hmm.
started making videos promoting winter rye,
Yep.
and he puts out so many videos, he's there in people's faces all the time on YouTube, where it pushed this narrative of rye onto people.
Yep.
And that's where it came from. You know,
Yep.
if you talk to certain people, you know, winter wheat's the thing. If you talk to certain, it's the rye.
Yep.
We can only go by what we've done.
Yeah.
Like if I go to clients sometime, I talk to people too. So I'll go to people's client, or clients and stuff. I'm say, hey, what did you plant? This, that, and the other. And I get people that say they plant rye. I get people say they plant winter wheat.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to be that they say, yes, the rye grew really good,
Hmm.
but it wasn't really touched as much as the winter wheat.
Correct.
So, yes, rye will grow easier in more bad conditions than wheat will. Rye grain will grow anywhere. Supposedly, it has a little bit colder tolerance than wheat, but I don't think it's significant enough to really notice anything.
No.
The rye will grow in a lower pH compared to the wheat. But again, I don't think it's really noticeable in that type of situation. So,
No.
yes, they're very similar, but at the end of the day, from my experience and yours as well, um, they pass through the wheat or through the rye to get to the wheat.
Yes. Yep. We've seen it.
So,
We recorded it. We videoed it. We made videos about it. I mean,
yeah,
while we was in the blind hunting,
right, right.
literally sitting in the blind hunting, we watched them pass through and go to the other field.
Hmm.
They wanted to be where the wheat was. Now,
Yeah.
that same fella, when he got done beating that subject to death, started on the red osier dogwoods. Remember the everything was red osier dogwood cuttings. You had to propagate these, you know. And now he's back to the what's the screening switchgrass. Yeah, he just jumped. He just keeps circling. He's like a dog chasing his tail. When he
Hmm.
beats one to death, he goes back to the next one and starts all over. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know. I I seem to think that he's getting paid to boost the local co-op seed. You know what I'm saying? I think
Hmm.
they got a big run on seed, and they're like, "Hey, we got all the seed. Start talking about planting all this because we need to sell this." And I swear that's what it is.
Yeah.
He's boosting the co-op.
Very possible.
I don't know. It just seems that way.
Um, Next, transition to this to finish out the podcast is you know the past few days, yes, it's been a little warm, right? Like today, unfortunately, it was raining most of the day, but it was 60 degrees. This weekend's supposed to be like 62 or whatever, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week here in Maryland is supposed to be like 70 degrees. So I have seen some people disking their plots already because we have this little warm front that's coming in. The problem is, well, two problems. One, we're still in wintertime. Two, you should not disc your plot unless you are planting. I hate it's a pet peeve. You should not disc your plot unless you are planting. Now, have a reason to disc your plot. So if you spread a brick, ton of lime, then yeah, disc your plot to mix that lime in. But don't just disc it because it's 70 degrees out and you want to do something for fun. You're That's how you ruin the soil and compact it. Only disc when you are planting or you added lime. So guys are doing this already, and it's only the what fifth of March. We're still 2 months away from actual any type of planting. I mean, really, 10 weeks away from any type of planting. I mean, you're going to plant what mid May or so. We're 10 weeks away. So
I'm just gonna frost seed only. I'm not gonna
right,
plant
but I'm
anything.
saying I know that, but I'm saying if you were to
Oh,
plant,
you mean me up here? Oh yeah, in my
yeah,
area.
yes,
Heck, it's 51 degrees right
right,
now.
but you're
I
10
mean,
weeks away from planting,
oh,
11 weeks.
if I was planting, I would. Heck, it's winter here till June 1.
Right.
It's
You know,
I could get snow any. You know, I've been turkey hunting on the last day of season and still got snowed on.
right.
I mean,
Obviously, it's
it's
going to vary from,
ridiculous.
state to state, but
Yeah.
generally throughout, the East, Midwest, those types of states, we're in that time frame across that center of and possibly end of April, early May to the end of May, somewhere in that time frame. But we're in wintertime. There right now is not the time to plant food plots. If you're frost seeding, yes, right now is probably a great time to frost seed. But right now you should be working on soil prep. You should be throwing out lime, getting your soil samples, having a plan coming into spring planting if you are planting a spring crop. Maybe you're planting buckwheat, maybe you're planting soybeans, maybe you're planting clovers, maybe you're planting annual clovers, maybe you're planting perennial clovers. Maybe you're planting sunflowers, Egyptian, whatever it is.
Screening with
Right.
you
Most
know
of your annuals in the um, spring summer time frame, those types of crops love heat. Buckwheat, Egyptian wheat, they love heat, right? So you
Yeah.
can't, buckwheat, you get a frost on that, it's dead. You know,
Well, not
or
only that, but there's no use planting it if it's only going to be 50 or 60.
no, it's dumb,
It,
and
it it
and
slows down the photosynthesis process, in the
yeah,
germination, and it just slows it down to a snail's pace, and it's not even worth it, you know.
a good thing that I thought about a couple years ago is I seen a lot of guys struggling with planting screening Egyptian wheat. And a lot of it is the weeds overtake their screening, or they plant too many seeds per acre in that strip. But what happens is, since, like I just mentioned, the Egyptian wheat loves heat,
Right.
so that soil needs to be nice and warm for that Egyptian wheat to kind of thrive and take off. People plant that way too early when the soil temps are cold. The seed sits there, but the weeds are growing because weeds germinate at a cooler temperature.
Yeah.
So it overtakes the Egyptian wheat. Then it does get warm, and Egyptian wheat does take off, but then it's shaded and crowded out by all the weeds, and it's stunted. It grows 2 feet tall, and then they're complaining that the Egyptian wheat didn't grow or doesn't work right. Guys, we go through this every single year. You have to wait. Wait to plant your fall food plot or spring food plots. There's no rush. You don't want, again, this goes back to cutting corners. People, you get anxious, you get excited. It's April and it's 70 degrees out. Just wait. It's still winter time.
Well, not to change the subject, but I just before we got on here, I just saw two different posts about guys trying to hit the right freeze thaw window for frost seeding.
Mm,
You know, they're trying to hit this window, and I'm thinking, which, why rush it? Uh, it doesn't matter if you hit the window anyhow. You
mm,
know, the longer you wait, the warmer the soil's going to be, the quicker reaction you're going to get from germination. And if you miss the window, you know, just wait a little while until you get a good warm rainy week coming and throw
mm.
your seed out then. you know like you said, there's no rush. I mean, people are all freaked out right now about this frost seeding stuff. I mean, they
Yeah.
are freaking out, man. Oh, this is the last week. I looked at the 3 week, you know, I looked at the rest of the month, and this is gonna be the last freeze thaw we're gonna see. I'm like, holy smokes, dude, settle
Hmm.
down.
Yeah. I don't even really pay attention to them.
Well,
I
when
I
someone's
can't.
freaking out like that, that's usually a newbie, that just is begging for information, and that's when all the bad comments come rolling in.
Makes them even more nervous.
Yes, yeah, because everybody's on there saying, "Well, I already frost seeded last week," and he's like,
Right.
"Oh, I need to get frost seeding." Dude's freaking. He said, "Well, I'm in Central PA. Is anybody else from Central PA? I want to frost seed." And everybody's on there like, "Yeah, we frost seeded last weekend." And I'm like, "Wow, I got
Yeah.
ice. I still have snow and ice over my plots. How are
Hmm.
people frost seeding? I don't get it."
Well, there's no snow here.
No, not there, but here,
Yeah.
and he's saying he's from this area, and I'm like,
Oh, I got you.
yeah, how's he gonna frost seed on top of the ice?
Right.
That's not
Yeah. I
very
mean,
good. That's not good information,
no. You gotta
because
wait, man. You gotta wait.
it just thundered and lightning and poured out raining here a half hour ago. Severe thunderstorm watch. So any of these knuckleheads that went out and frost seeded on top of the ice, guess what? It just all washed off.
Hmm.
Sorry about your luck.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotta wait, man. You gotta
These
give it
folks.
time.
So there's people on the internet that'll tell you to do this snow seeding and all this stuff. Well, when you get a downpour like we just had, if it's not bare dirt, bye bye seed. You know, it's going to be real spotty and clumpy. And if you did it on top of the ice like I have, forget about it. You might as well go buy another jug. Go buy another jug.
Do that again.
Bye bye.
All right. Podcast 115. Chris is a blue Smurf.
Dumb.
I'm busy. I got so much stuff to do.
Yeah, busy.
I am busy, but I got more consulting to do. I got cutting trees. I got my whole month of March. I literally have one weekend in March with nothing to do, one weekend in April with nothing to do, and I do have 3 weekends in. Well, actually, no. I got one weekend in May that I have nothing to do, and one weekend's coming to you to go fishing and bring you an e-bike. The other
Yeah.
weekend, I'll be in Deep Creek Lake, Maryland for 3 days fishing with my
Sick.
parents, with my dad. We made a trip down there with him, and yeah, busy. I got no time, but we're gonna make time to talk about Blue Smurfs and Swiss Miss. So we'll see you
That's
guys on
dumb.
podcast 116.
See ya.
Moving along. Later.
Later.